Yo. Before you skip to your part of the video, please, I have a question. If you guys know the answer, please help me out. I made a 3D Blender sign, this sign, but it lagged a ton at the end here, you can see. How do I export After Effects Velocity to Blender? If you know, please help me out. If you're not, whatever. I'll be going to university, so hopefully I'll have more consistent posting times. I actually have to like do stuff again, but we'll see. First one up is dadogeman Necromancer. Right, and you explicitly said, please roast me. Alright. So first things first is you recorded in a probably hilariously low frame rate because you can pretty easily see a ton of blending on here when you add any sort of echoing effect. I also think the echo effect you added gets kind of destroyed because of all the grain you added. The grain is multicolored too, which is, the entire CC is kind of weird. I understand it's like Necromancer or whatever, but like, I don't know. I think the grain is too much, especially for YouTube. You need to do at least 1440p if you want to upload with grain. For the blur, I think that you should have try using a blur like this one. So there's this thing called blur. It actually like can look really nice. And I think if you add just more, like 5, you could have had a better result here. Like if you like switch between this one and like the normal non-motion blur one. I think this echo effect is not really cutting it because of how shit it can get with the interpolation. I also wouldn't record it with a crosshair in the first place. I'd always just add the crosshair on a post. Because any chance of it interpolating in the first place is just not good. And you can see the interpolation here too. Like on the op, the top front of the op, like it's clearly, this is just like 30 FPS or 60 FPS. You need to record in a higher frame rate, man. This looks like it has no CC, and you like put like maybe a full stop down in exposure. There's not really any time where you get to like actually see the guy. I mean, you get some time. This is really 9 seconds, so I can't really critique it that much. I think this is a little too slow. Like at the end especially. Not really, here is fine, but at the end, like I wish that this went away quicker. Like this is just, it feels weird to look at this. It's like you added radio blur to the side of your screen, but then the screen paused, right? Okay. There's also no shake on it, which there doesn't have to be gonna kill, right? But the impact is a little not really. The impact is kind of underwhelming. It feels more. The impact feels underwhelming, I think, especially because it just fades to black right after. There's not really a baseline for the viewer to really understand of, oh, this is normal, and then this is more, this is impact. It's just, because if it went back to this weird grainy style after the fact, maybe the impact would have made more sense, I guess. And I'm saying not fading to black either. Because then there's a baseline, but by making it without a CC, basically, at this end bit here, you remove the baseline and basically just said, not giving a viewer a chance to understand or what is extreme or what's not extreme, because you went from this extreme to that extreme within a second. So the impact becomes less impact because the rate. Okay, let me explain something. A lot of impact comes from contrast, right? So the contrast between 2 frames. So, for example, the impact you added here, a lot of it is due to the fact that you added a bunch of glow, right? But because now you added, or also the fact that it does a tonal shift, the CC changes so much here. But the fact that the impact the impact is kind of slow, which is fine, right? Impacting me slow, the glow decreasing slowly, but this is like the baseline, right? This is where you should have stopped, right? But then instead, you started fading out. So the impact never really, it didn't really hit because you kept going with it. The rate of change of the rate of change between frames and the rate of contrast or differences between each frame didn't really slow down as I kept going to the fade out, right? I hope that made sense. Okay, that's that. My dog is with me. Alright, next one is pxl. This style is all over the place, I feel like. Like a lot of it, like this feels completely different style from this. Like this is like, gives like Taliban World CRT impact type stuff. And then this is not, the colors are just way too different. This smoke, the black on the smoke is also really bad. I would probably increase your luminidissolve and then put some blur on it, like the edges. I would use a edge smoother effect. The glow looks bad. The rays look bad. If you really want to do the rays, I'd probably only do it from the car headlight. I think the intro's a little too fast. I think it goes 3 clips. Like usually when I think of intros, they usually are like on the slower side of things. They don't have to be always, but your intro is like, your intro is like 3 clips within the same space it takes the next clip to be that entire space. I do like the typography here. I like this. I like this transition as well. I don't like the smoke also just feels a little off, I think, just because it is the edge smoothing stuff that I was talking about before. It's close though, it's getting there. The flicker is also just huge on this, and it's annoying to watch, frankly. If I had my webcam connected, I'd show my dog right now, but I can't. This needs some reptile type stuff on this bit here, I think. It feels, this middle bit feels a little awkward. Like I'm just like nothing. A lot of it I think is because you can see so much black over here, yet it fills up the whole screen after the fact. It feels like you missed out on a reptile or something. Because CRT effects are supposed to take up the entire frame, right? So it feels like you just slid a picture on screen. It can also tend to be a little sharper, I think. I feel like it's a bit linear right now. We're gonna pull paint on it. It feels like your graph is maybe, let's take a look. Your graph feels like this. Maybe like, I want your graph to be more like, I don't know, maybe, oh actually I'm gonna draw the handles as well. maybe your handles are like this and this. Maybe this. Probably a little farther out like this, probably. I want your graph to be more like, I want your handles to be more like, more down, a little more down, but more out. Like that. Because I want this bit right here, I want it to be, maybe it's just the way I graph stuff nowadays, but this handle is fine, I think. I want your graph to be more on the lines of like, I'm drawing too much stuff on the screen. I want to be more linear right here. Like still movement at the end, but not a lot. Like this probably. And then we go into the fade in, fade down. Like that probably. I want that, I think. I think it's just weird to see it stop moving so quickly, I think. That's my problem. I want to see less of this bit, and I want to see more of this on screen and already like existing. Maybe a little longer, I guess. I feel like you could do with a little more shakes too. Like even like here, I think you could do with like some offsets, like this being offset to the side or to up, like up here, maybe, or like down to right here, maybe. It just kind of like, also, I literally just noticed this now. This clip is the same as this clip. I had no notice. Because they're just so different. You're getting there. It's just a lot of stock content to sort through. Also, by the way, this guy is legible. I can understand this is a person, but I don't, this whole thing, I can't tell what's happening here. That's just cool. Yeah, I agree with the text face thing. Yeah, the iMusic bit is, it's just a little weird. It's kind of out of nowhere. And this font, to me, when I was watching this, more or less just looked like a black line going, a white line going across it, the words. Yeah. It's cool though. Next one's iPhone. Alright, let's take a look at this. Alright, so you didn't use any RSMB. I'd recommend in the future at least using some sort of motion blur. If not RSMB or some sort of smart motion blur, then making your own stuff, like on this bit particularly, right? Like, because it's going quickly to the side, maybe using a little bit of directional blur in the beginning of it. The concept of this is really cool, but it just doesn't last long enough for it to like stick to me. I think if you were more smart about it and kept the data moshing around the sides, but rotoscoped or like masked out this bit so it didn't affect this middle bit, that would have been sick. But as it is, I think it could use some work. I got the idea though. The shit could be a little longer. Everything on the scale out too as well. It just is all very fast, which is awkward because then you leave so much time at the end for like nothing. Like I'm just sitting here at this bit being like, okay, what's next? I don't like the zoom in into the zoom out. It feels a little awkward. I think you zoomed out instead would have been nice. Like if you had it so like, I don't know how much you scaled. Let's pretend you scaled here like, I don't know, 250%. Then you leave it here at like 150%. And then at the very end you scale out to like 95% and the radial blur covers the reflecting edges. And then here you can zoom out as well, which would make more sense, I think. This is overused and it's not on this guy as well, which is weird. Again, the zoom in to zoom out, it just feels awkward. Like zoom in here, zoom out here. Like there's... Why do you zoom in here? That doesn't make sense to me either. I guess the colors kind of match when you do that, but it's not... I don't know. It's not enough. It's not enough to just add the transition to me because I'm now... When you use radial blur to focus on this thing, I'm like, what's over here? And then I'm like still looking over there, and then the shot's gonna happen. I'm like, oh wait, the shot's gonna happen. And I look over here, and it's like, oh wait, it's over. It's too late. Because blurs direct your attention, especially radial blur. It's probably this first song you didn't add more warps or more glitches. I don't want to say the word basic, but it's very clean in its styling compared to the song. This data moshing didn't really work. I think if you echoed it as well, it would have been cool. But as it is, it kind of happens and it's not that good. Also, what is this fade in? This fade thing. Oh, it's the... Oh. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think the cut would have been better. I don't like this ray. This ray is weird. I would have made a loose mask around the sky, and then used that as a input layer for your S rays. This is cool. I like this velocity right here on the POV. I think it could use a little more impact. Does not work here at all. I think the velocity is just too sharp. If you want, okay. If you're gonna make sharp velocity, so I think it's like what? We'll give it like, I don't know, this. Maybe you curve as like this. You like slow down almost entirely and you go back up, right? Something like that. This is just like not great. it needs impact. If you're gonna use that, you're gonna need impact to like just syncing on velocity with like sharp moments like these two. And by these two, I mean both the fact that you speed up really quickly right after this bit and then slow down right there. I think if you're gonna do moments like that, you're gonna need like visuals that accompany your velocity. Just thinking on velocity is not good enough unless your camera entirely changes. Like if your camera flipped around during like a sharp sync like that, then sure, that would have been fine. Ignore that. Sharp. What was I saying? Fuck. If you're going to do a sharp movement like that, like your camera needs to flip around. If it's only the velocity, your camera needs to move like legitimately a good amount. But if you're just doing like this, I think you need some visuals or maybe some SFX even to accompany it. It's a little weird to just have it like that. I don't like this glow in the background. It doesn't really fit the colors you've used so far. Hey, the velocity is really sharp here. I go to like 150, like maybe like 50% velocity, like that's like 10 or 15, like real quick. You can see really seeing his feet too. And again, you're zooming out on the side here, right? I think this zoom in, zoom out thing is just weird, especially when you're zooming in on like this thing. Zoom in on him, zoom on the guy. You're going to zoom into the player, right? So you could have zoomed into the player, right? Zoom into the player and then zoom into the POV, and you're gonna be at like, I don't know, 110, 125% scaling, right? And then you go in here, and the game scales in for you too. So the scaling's gonna be there. You scale in a little bit over the entire clip as well. So it increases more scaling, right? And then as soon as the last kill is finished, you skip to the reload and zoom out and shake. I feel like this just doesn't fit the pacing. It loses the flow because you zoom in for no reason on this light area. Also, as soon as this guy dies, like right here, I think you should cut instantly out of this POV, straight into the reload animation. Right here, right? Because I don't care about his missed shots. I don't care that this guy's already dead. He's been dead for like a quarter of a second. I don't care about this. And no one's gonna notice it. If you do it quick, no one's gonna notice that this guy was standing and now is falling down. It's falling down, right? The impact is here a bit heavy. It's a bit heavy. It goes from really scaled in to just zoomed out real quickly. I think we should scale it out instead. The shake's also really heavy too, which is not great. I feel like my sync styling, but I'm not sure. I did, yeah, I did right there. Right here, tiling. Yeah. So with sprays in general, let's call this is the I don't know who named this thing, the impact right? So on a normal, I don't know, you probably can read that. Yeah, it's probably fine. So normally, like say an op shot, right, or a sniper shot, right, you get like it's pretty slow, right, pretty steady impact, or it's a little slow, a little steady, right? The scoping happens, impact. The shot. This is the scope. This is the scope shot, right? And then it goes straight back down. I wouldn't even draw that top bit. Let's do it again. This maybe. Right, something like that. Probably a little less sharp in the end there. Like this. Drops off pretty smooth, right? Shot, pre-kill, post kill. I didn't mean to draw that. Anyway, so for a spray, obviously you don't have you have way more time here than you do here. So what usually happens is, at least for me, is it'll be slow and steady, but it'll still be there. Like probably like this to like this, and then bam, like bam, like that probably, or it just goes, right? Maybe even more like this. So for your velocity, it probably should be more like, let's say this is 100% speed, right? Velocity is like straight. It's like this, slowly increasing, and at the very end, it could either go like this, or it can just cut straight into it, and then goes down again, right? Because that's in the same, it's aligned with the impactor meter, right? It's slowly building up the tension, slowly building up, right? And then you can't see anything, and then impact. I think this was just a little too slow the entire time. There wasn't. You also, I feel like we're missing a spray shake. There wasn't much in the way of. Usually when I see a spray like this, there's some sort of like slow building impact, right? So you're scaling it slowly over time, over the course of this thing. You're shaking a little bit, side to side, a little X, maybe a little Y, a tiny bit of tilt. Just to get things moving. And then at the very end, right here, your shake builds up huge. You start, like this, right? Your shaking is a little bit, your exposure a little bit, and then bam, right here, right? Yet, what it feels like to me instead happened is that you accidentally put your impact one frame before you should have, because your impact shake starts here, and your exposure starts here, and it doesn't get any bigger over here, which is really awkward. Again, your shake feels a little jiggly, it feels a little wiggly, and for a song like this, it feels like it should be more sharp, like straightforward. The frequency could be a little higher, or a period could be a little shorter, whatever it's going to call it. At the very beginning, and then it's taper out. And your exposure was like very, very little. Your actual impact all is derived from the shakes, especially I think throughout this edit, honestly, and like very little exposure. You could have definitely added some more glitchy or warpy effects here. I don't like the dadogeman inside the sign. Doesn't feel right. I wish this sign lasted for a little longer, so I could like see the guy like hitting the floor and like falling down a little longer. This implies that it took one shot, it feels like, to kill that one guy, this guy, which is also kind of weird. Again, the zoom in should be centered on his face, not this around point in the sky. It doesn't matter that the center of the screen is right here. It matters that this dude is right here. It's okay to be non-diegetic with your radio blur as long as it helps focus on your subject matter. This comes in on an impact moment, which makes me feel like this is supposed to look like impact when it doesn't actually. It kind of just feels like I got duped. It feels like unsatisfying because you had this, like, you had scalelines already happening like for 5 frames beforehand. It also looks like your depth is out of whack here. This is not intentional. If it is intentional, it does not look intentional. This is also a pretty shit ending. This shot could have used so much more impact. It just had a scale in and like maybe, and not even a zoom. Wait, I'm sorry. It had a scale in, but not even a shake. Like it's like the weakest impact ever. Hopefully I'm not just like killing you with this. I would try it. If you want to do songs like these, I would probably watch like Stu or Nick, like see like their type of stuff. Whatever. Look up Stu or he's this like very popular CS:GO or COD edits, or Nick. He does a lot of very popular TF2. He used to do some COD, and Tylenol Addict did some COD edits as well. Very similar vein of style and work. Vein of work in terms of the songs. Different take on the style. A lot more warps, but I think you could get a lot from them, especially Tylenol Addict. But it all does start with good basics, and at the very least, if you know it's bad, then I'm glad you're working on the basics at first, before getting into all the warps and glitches. Cool. Next one is dadogeman again. I love the song choice, but the edit is a bit all over the place. I can't tell what it wants to be. The particles aren't tracked. I don't know how Hello Kitty has anything to do with iCarly, but that works too, I guess. I can't. If you told me this is CS:GO, I would not believe you. This frame, I would not believe you. The glow is a bit too bright. This is slowed down too much. It's to the point where you can see it literally stopped entirely. I like the transition actually a lot. The transition looks so nice. Clean. The scale out stops really quickly, and which is kind of annoying. I think it's kind of could use a little more ramp off. Fell off. The way you do the knife flick makes me feel like, and the song is still going, makes me feel like there should be like a third thing that you're just missing. Like there's something that should have been there, like maybe a death sign or something like that, and it just doesn't happen, and it feels very awkward and unsatisfying. The shake, all of this actually feels really rushed. The impact feels super rushed, like the way the shake ends so quickly and prematurely. The way that the shake has such a high period. Then the minimax type thing going on here into the knife flip. It all just feels very rushed. Like you didn't have time to execute your ideas properly. And this knife velocity at the very end is just awful. It's just not good. This is TikTok style, and also what the hell is with this motion blur? Okay, I'm intentionally being harsh. I usually don't use as colorful language. This is even colorful language. I don't usually bash my people this hard. If you feel like I was going too hard, then please let me know, and I won't do it as much next time. But this is just based off your prior comment. Your motion blur on this is ruining it so hard. It's crazy, actually. Like, this could have actually... I'm not going to say it will look great, because this is still like TikTok style, like colorama warpy font thing, but motion blur definitely ruined it a lot more than it would have originally been had. I like the fact that you used whatever this remix of the song is though. It's very unique. Wait, this isn't CS:GO? This is Left 4 Dead? Your velocity here is very sharp. Again. cool sign. Actually, this is the cool part of the sign. You could have, this transition would have been so much better if you just used some CC radio blur instead of scratch. It would have been perfect, honestly. Like it was so close. It was almost there. And then maybe like this frame could have been a Lumidissolve frame on the POV and stuck up the sign. Like that would have been so good. It was so close. It was so close. It was almost fire. Again, like I was saying before, that slow down entirely here. Also, the blood kind of just appears for no reason. Weird. Oh, it's just the same thing in the movie. Never mind. This is awful. I assume you use some frame blending on this. I don't really know why you would need to. Usually you don't really need to use frame blending unless you're using like CC force motion blur, which you definitely aren't using here. It just... Okay, if you're editing a game, just rule of thumb, record in like 600 FPS. There's no reason for you to have warps when you're recording your own footage. Like, in game. Like, you can slow the game down like to infinity, and you decided to record it at 60 FPS, I guess. Not 60, I know. You probably recorded like 240 or something, but it's, personally to me, it's a pet peeve. It's like inexcusable. You have all the resources in the world to record it at whatever FPS you wanted to, and you decide to record it at too low of an FPS. Again, the sharp velocity here. The sides of your screen glow, which is a little distracting here. Again, a little too slow here. It feels like you're constantly doing S curves, which is, and by S curve I mean like I feel like you're constantly just doing like this, which isn't terrible, or like it just like, actually ice bucket velocity would probably be better to show, like that, which of course it isn't bad. It's what people usually do in the first place, but there doesn't feel like there's a variety. It feels like it's very repetitive. I think I said all I wanted to say on this. Not a lot of impact on this shot either. You have a lot of impact on like the prior bits, like the exposure and whatnot, but on the shot you should have the most impact, so like exposure and some shake and some whatever glow. Blur as well. Like you have more impact on this transition than you do on the actual shot, which is weird. Just taking into consideration that what should happen is usually your shots should have the most impact. Transitions should follow up. Of course, there are exceptions. Sometimes the transition could be like badass, so you want to have more impact, but usually it's the shots that have most impact on. Oh, I just realized the pacing's... You got away with it this time, I think, because the pacing actually was pretty good. But you should try to stick to things other than the main beat, because it can get repetitive very quickly. Also, the fact that it's 11 seconds, so it's not much to be repetitive about it. But yeah, just a future reference. You synced on the 808 or like whatever the huge beat drop thing sounded like every single time. Yeah, so just keep that in mind next time. Next one is flows. Of course, we'll have a flows edit. Wouldn't be the same without it. Okay, man, this is fire. Where did this come from? Where did you come up with it? This sign is fire. This intro sign is ridiculous. It goes so hard. Like, you could have, I think honestly, you could have literally added some like, the only thing that would have made it better is if you added some like typography like right here, or like here, or something like that, or like some like title sequence type thing. This is awesome. This is also awesome. This is also really cool. The shadows were weird, but that's also kind of just probably a limitation of the engine. The ending is the only part I really would say was a little scuffed. I like the posture time here, but as soon as you land, I feel like you should have let it go. Like at the end here, it just felt like I was watching Tech Deck, because sometimes like the RSMB would only work every other frame. When you do RSMB like this, on a posterized time thing like this, for future reference, next time you should just do it on the sign itself before the posterized time. That way the RSMB will continue to work and will always have, or actually, yeah, the RSMB will always be on, and it won't like flip on and off like this if you apply it to the clip itself or like before the posterized time. This frame was also a little awkward. This glow on the top left was a little awkward, I think, because everything other than that was very muted browns and reds, and then this kind of comes into like a weird white out of nowhere. But dude, this is crazy. How did you? This is crazy improvement. This is actually nuts. Good stuff. Next one is Cryzon. I think the displacement could have been a little better framed, so it actually showed it put more focus towards this guy. So when you do displacement in the future, a lot of your displacements are going to be like leading lines almost. So they're leading me to where I'm supposed to look, right? So this line is leading me either up or either down, or this line is leading me up or down, right? I got vertical lines. This one too, right? And even this one a little bit, not a lot. It's all telling me I'm supposed to be looking over here. Yeah, I should be looking over here. So a lot of the cracks, I guess, should be coming from the player, or at least looking towards the player, right? Like maybe even this much, right? And then you could have like fill in the gaps with whatever like empty space, like maybe a crack over here or something like that. But your main crack should be on the focus point. It looks to me like you're missing some blur. There is no radial blur here. Could definitely have used some, or at least some RSMB even. It's a little weird how the cracks come in after the fact, because they're not there on the first frame. But whatever, it's not a huge deal, right? Again, I'll say the same thing about the cracks. Although I already said it, so that same thing I just said before applies to this one as well. This one does a better job of it, where the cracks are kind of there and like waiting for them to be there. Although this camera's kind of weird. I don't like how you loop it twice or like once before it actually plays. And I like how the guy runs from here to here. I wish that the sign followed him instead of this red line. Because if you want to follow the red line, I think it should be more symmetrical. I feel like you should have continued with this like very balanced sign where it was dark over here and light over here. But then towards the end here, it's way more light and way less dark. You should have kept it, if you wanted to keep it on the red line, it should be more balanced, I feel like. Otherwise, you should just follow the player. It would have been nice if this had a one framer of like warp at the very end of this one, just to prompt the viewer for the warping you have here. This is cool, but I feel like it should have been a little more time before you added some posterized time to this. The posterize time kind of fell out of the blue, and it left very little time for the impact to actually occur. I don't like this warp if this is a warp in the first place. Just the scope is just too far away from the camera. It feel like with this. Too much. The warp here looks like reflecting edges, which is not great. Or it is warping edges. It is reflecting edges. Never mind. This is cool. I like this warp. Or if it is a warp in the first place, it feels nice. This velocity bit here. This velocity feels a little tiny too fast. Mostly because his hand is kind of like here and then it's just not after like one frame. It just feels awkward. This sign feels a little awkward. Just kind of like this movement right here, going from like looking down straight into like the sideways movement, and the tilt coming out of nowhere. Like it just decides to stop moving downwards quickly out of nowhere, real quick. It's a little too quick for my tastes, and like the way it just stops and starts certain movements. Nice. If you wanted a far away. If you want a far away shot like this, I think it would have been better if you had like a way far away shot, like him being like the floor being less of the camera and the sky being more of the shot. Like if you shot from like maybe like way over this way, like behind this concrete wall, toward this, so that it showed more like this Coliseum type edges. It could have been nicer. As it is right now, it feels a little too. Like you're gonna like go really fast because I can see the ground so much. I know you're trying to rule of thirds. It feels like I think here, but I think if the ground was the bottom rule on the rule of thirds, it would have been like it stopped there instead of being at the horizon. It would have been a little nicer. I think the shaking to the sides a little too much, personally. It's still too high, the frequency. I think a transition would have actually helped here as well too. It just kind of like really quick, going from like super slow shot, still shot to straight into POV. Catches you the off guard. There's like a lot of burnt pixels here, which is not great. It feels very blocky and like low bit rate. The shot at the end is not great. I feel like you didn't know how to end it properly. This is a cool idea, but poor execution. It feels like it could have, like if the dude's head was here or like here, it would have been nice. But he is like stuck in the middle with this planet, which doesn't really fit. It's so close, but it's not it. I don't like your glitches being blue when the normal map is blue. It is too not contrasty, honestly. It fits in too well for a glitch. It's nice that you're like experimenting with warps, and I think you'll get better with them over time, but I think this time is just, it's not that great. It's getting there, but it's not great yet. You're still learning, it feels like. Which is good, it's a good thing. I really think the flow hits super hard in the first 9 seconds, and it kind of falls off to me, personally. Also, this sign's a little... The fall off on the velocity is a little too fast, I think. It wasn't like fast to slow. I think it's a little too fast. That mo. It's almost there though. Just in that sign though. That's all I meant. Because you intentionally cut off the flow like in this clip. Like this shot intentionally cuts off the flow. This shot could have used some scale out on the impact. Just to have something that like lasted over the time. It just like feels like it's weird. It feels like it's all over the place pacing wise. At some points it feels like it's going super fast. The warps and the glitches and stuff, and the signs and the movement. And sometimes there's points like here where it's just like, wait, isn't this supposed to be fast paced? We're not looking at what I'm looking at nothing, right? Hopefully that made sense to you. But yeah, it's cool though. It's nice. I like how you play around with stuff. I definitely don't play by my warps because I'm shit at warps. Right, so this does not need ops. Oh my god, what the fuck is this? One, two, three, 4, 5. Alright, it's fine. This is crazy. It feels like you mostly just spammed rainbow rainbow effects, like on random parts of the video. Like here, right? Rainbow here, and the clip is completely normal otherwise. Right? Rainbow here, rainbow here, rainbow here. Then it did a mosh. Rainbow on the gunning glow, right? Rainbow here. Rainbow here. It's not coherent. This lags out a ton. You can see pretty easily here. The player is too visible compared to everything else being super dark. The CC is just way too contrasty, super dark on everything. You can't really even see anything except for this tiny bit of floor. Too much contrast in general, too much glow. This is a weird part to slow down on. It's an ass sign. That's still a lot to say on that one, honestly, because I feel like your other ones are much better, even if I did get a lot of critiques from them, but I don't think that this one really. I think the other ones already address a lot of the problems you had with this one. So I'm not gonna really address it that much. But yeah, it's just like, I'll just say one more last passing comment. It's not really themed. It just feels like you added flashy effects just to add flashy effects, and you realized that they were all rainbow at one point, so you decided to add more rainbow effects. Yeah. What? Lex left the server? No, really? Damn. Alright. Well, I guess I want to have them. That sucks. Next one's line. I'll just look at myself.
They can do it like this, like me. They don't copy the trick like they me. And then when it at this, I did it. I just said, listen, got all these words, I did it, bitch. I'm about to kill, I did it, the bitch. You know that funny we are, bitch. They can't fuck with the God. They can't fuck with the king. They can't fuck with the world. I didn't even knew that existed. I'm talking about these niggas. From the drug to my life. From the love, from the world to my life.
As per usual, it's incredibly fire. Yeah. This tradition was like almost there, like almost like really good, and it kind of just like stopped. Like you could have really done a really good transition with the sky, like keyed out the sky or depthed out the sky, and then like into the next clip. But instead, you kind of just like forced it with a linear ripe. Like it was almost there. It was so close. And also, there's no follow-up movement in the next sign. And also, this is like random clips here, or not random actually. Yeah. It was almost really good. I mean, also almost perfect, but like it just missed a little bit. I feel like I wouldn't have added the subtitles myself here in this. It's not that it's awkward or anything. It just like it's not necessary. You have already so much stuff happening on screen that it maybe even takes away a little bit, because I'm looking at this and being like, are my subtitles turned on? Why would I turn my subtitles? Because they're so close to YouTube captioning. I think the flicker on myself is a little too hard. I like this style, generally speaking, but I don't think... it's like... It's too close to a clay style, and the clay style really wouldn't fit this sort of vibe, I feel like. This vibe is super grayscale, usually on the dark side of things too. And then you have this moment. I don't think the play model really fits that well. I like that you did add the gray bit, kind of to offset the fact that he's all white, but still just a tiniest bit. Like, you could have added like a little more material. Like, what's the term for us? The materials could have been more like there, like more enhanced textures. Maybe that's the term I'm looking for. You get, stronger normal maps and stuff. I feel like even though he's so white, maybe there's some more texture on him, more bumpiness, like more of a feel you get from him, I guess. I'm. I don't really like how much this waits to turn. How it like waits for like this, mostly this like this impact or this impact to start turning a lot. Because it feels like so much of this is already like so many of the effects are already around like turning or like radio blur type effect type stuff, or like the anamorphic fisheye lens type thing you had going on here, but doesn't actually turn until like a fair bit later on. This also feel like it was like almost a really like it felt like you scrapped like a crazy transition here, where like you had the guy spinning still, or like you had him like zoom out while spinning on this shot into the dream shot. Like it was almost there, and you might have scrapped the idea. It's so cool as it is though. I wish these lines were more emphasized. I like them a lot, especially these ones that are like towards the like very high up off of the ground. I like the parallax on them, and I wish they were a little more highlighted. It feels like this sign couldn't tell what it wanted to be. So you had like this, like you still have like the flowy type movements going on here, right? Very nice, like very like clean as per usually do. But then this is like it felt like it was about to start, like really go into it, right? Into this bit. And then it decided like, I don't know. And then the sign decided like right around here, like, oh wait, we're not going to go to flow. We're going to go back to like IRL type footage type thing. Also, there's no grain in the black bits, which is a little weird. Doesn't have to be a lot of grain, but maybe a tiny bit of grain in the black bits too would have been nice. It just feels a little awkward to have so much grain and static here and then nothing here, personally. I wish the sign was like right here. I wish it turned into him instead of into the wall like it does right now. It was almost there. It felt like it was close, but then it kind of just didn't get there. Especially with the fact that you add like this like sharp velocity right here and then this guy. It was almost there with this bit too, but it kind of just didn't hit. It was close though. Also, by the way, just so you know, like I'm trying to find points to nitpick at, but ultimately these are still, in my personal opinion, nitpicks. It still was, I don't know. Even if I'm like, I don't know, I'm being too harsh on my language. I'm just trying to say that. This is too fast. This bit is too fast. I can't read like me, and I only can tell it says like in the first place is because the song says it. I mentally expected, because there was this extra like black line type stuff, that it said me right here, even though it didn't actually say that. The transition feels weird here because it feels like you could have just zoomed out on his face. Like you could have like done like a radial blur, and you decided to just do optic compensation plus a pinch. It just, it's almost, again, it's almost there, but it's not really. Like this is like one shot. This could have been one shot, and or one sign, and I wouldn't be able to tell. I think there's too many effects in this face shot. Personally. Because like the pacing's already really fast, and now you're shoving more stuff at me to see. The cam movement was close, but not entirely polished enough, I'm not opinion. Especially right, that moment right there, this moment, that one. It was close, but not it. The movement he has here is like the way it's like fast and kind of just him wailing his arms around. Feels a little awkward. Like I felt like he didn't die, he was just kind of just chilling, like wailing his arms around for no reason. I'm not a huge fan of the data washing here because I feel like it doesn't get warped into the radial blur enough. It was a cool idea though. The text feels like rushed. Like there wasn't enough time to pull off the idea you wanted. The ending two signs feel, and the transition, I mean, it's just a tiny bit sloppy. It's like you couldn't be asked to record I don't know. I think it's two signs, and I feel like it feels a little sloppy just because of the transition. It's kind of like fade to black when you had like the whole tunnel to do like the funny spins in, but whatever, it's not a huge deal. Again, it's really cool, but yeah, no, it's just really cool. Nice styles. Yeah, I agree with this. It does feel like a lot of conceptual. It feels like a lot of concepts and a lot of cool ideas, but you didn't get around to polishing all of them. But it was close. It was so close thing. Yeah, I was actually, I hopped in one of your streams before when you made this, but I didn't say anything because I had to leave. But good shit. It was cool. Yeah. Wish I commented on that sooner actually. But yeah. All right, two more. Oh, brother. Another flows. I feel like my odds from before were pretty much my opinion still now. I think also your other edit you sent before was like outshined it entirely, completely, like ridiculously. So I'm not. I want honestly. I think all my problems I have with this one are already over with in your next one. So I'm gonna skip past that. The ghost in the ghost text doesn't really fit at all, in my opinion. I don't understand the eye, and I also don't really think it fits with like the very low resolution style I've been going with. The eye kind of came out of nowhere, and also there's too much detail in it compared to everything else. This is also too much stuff to focus on within like the very limited time span you gave to focus on it. It's probably like a half a second to even see this black part. It's really cool though. Glitches kind of happen out of nowhere on this as well. I didn't even notice it happening until I slowed it down, paused here. I wish it was less of a cut in this regard, and the way it cuts over, the white part comes over more to the black part side. And more of a gradual thing. Really cool though. Good stuff. I think the rest of it was just, yeah, the rest of it was just some normal stuff. So, well, yeah, whatever. A lot of good edits, a lot of good stuff. Glad I got to review before I left. So, I'll catch you all another time. Hope this helped. And yeah, see y'all later.